Greetings everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, My Dress Up Darling, Season 2.
Yep. My Dress Up Darling, Season 2, Episode 1. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And, well, we did not do the first season of this because we just didn't. And I ended up watching this on my own. For those of you who might remember me battling the floods in 2023 and 24, it was one of the shows that I just kind of had up while I was trying to stay awake to keep pumping water out so my house wouldn't flood. So, got Age caught up on this a couple weeks ago. So, we're going to be doing Season 2. We haven't done like a rom-com show in a while. And if there is something that I love just as much as pure comedy, it's romantic comedy. So that's where we're at with this. It's been a while since we've had like a off show like this. It's mostly been like shonen stuff, so I like to stick some of this kind of thing in there every once in a while. Usually once a season, honestly. The Friday show is always something like this, unless it's, unless there's nothing similar to this lying around that we can do. But we haven't done this since like something like this since like the middle of last year, I think, around this time. So it's nice to get back to something like this. I will say for this, I have read the whole damn thing. I've read all the source material. So it will be interesting to see how it's adapted for the anime. Season 1 was pretty much shot for shot. Everything was the same. There might have been a little bit of dialogue change, but I didn't really notice anything. So, yeah. For those of you wondering, the source material for this has finished. It wrapped up a couple months ago, I believe, and they've done a couple little post OVA things for that that will probably end up in the show at some point. But as for this, considering the source material is finished, it's very popular, and season 1 got through 40 chapters about. I think it was 39 or 40 chapters, one of those two. It's very close to that. And this series ended on chapter 116? It was right before 120, something like that. So if they pull a go read the source material thing after 2 seasons when they could just do a 3rd season and finish it, because I highly doubt they're going to do 80-ish chapters for a season 2 unless they really pack it in here. But I don't see that coming.
That's asking a lot.
Yeah. So this is confirmed. I might be able to believe it if it was 2 cores. It is not. It is another 1-core season. So we're probably going to get 3 1-core seasons. And since the source material is finished, we'll probably see this faster than 3 years between seasons like this was, because season 1 came out in 2022. So yeah, I'd venture to guess that this will all be, the entirety of this series will be adapted for anime. So I'd be surprised if it wasn't, with how popular it is, A, and B, that the source material is finished. So either way, this is one of those very few times that this is only the 2nd time where I know pretty much everything about this. That was how the case it was for Nier when we did that. But very rarely do I have source material for it, knowledge for anything, unless I have to go look something up, like I've done for Skeleton Knight and a couple other things that we have watched, but I haven't read all of those up until this point. But for this, I've read the whole damn thing, and I probably will be going between weeks, just kind of going back and checking for consistencies, stuff like that. But unless there's some major gaping something missing, like we pointed out in Overlord, for those of you who remember from the channel, I'm sure this will be fine, considering season 1 was pretty much just shot for shot everything, line for line everything, so we'll probably be okay. I doubt we're gonna have a situation of Dragon Maid omit stuff randomly. While not every anime does that from the source material, there are some that. So we'll just have to see. But it's one of those situations where I just get to kind of sit back and watch, while I do like to speculate and stuff like that. For this one, I just have to see what they do and leave the speculation to Age. So, and keep my mouth shut for spoilers, obviously. But either way, since once again this is a new show on the channel, we will be doing timer-based reactions. Those will go up on Patreon. The Patreon like confirmation processing, whatever affirmation, whatever process you want to call it, finally went through, so I can post links to this. I did find out you cannot upload videos straight to Patreon if you're using an 18 plus account, which I guess I didn't even see a setting for that when I set up my Patreon. I think it asked my age, so I don't understand like what that meant, but whatever. So that doesn't make any sense to me. But either way, all the timer-based reactions are going to be up on Patreon as individual posts. The link to that will be in the description of the YouTube video. Another caveat, and I'll bring this up for the next couple weeks just to reiterate it and make sure everybody knows. I do not have access to clickable links on this channel. You're going to have to copy the link and manually, Control/C, Control-V it into your browser, or however you do that on a mobile device. I apologize. I don't have enough channel history built up to have clickable links in my own descriptions. So I guess they don't have a feature that like filters links to like trusted websites. It just goes to a Patreon post. It's really not that big of a deal, but at some point those links will be clickable. I apologize. It's just how it is at the moment. But if you guys want to watch the show along with us with the timer-based reactions, the links will be down there in the description for YouTube. These YouTube videos on YouTube that are here will be the, the intro and then the reaction discussion after the fact. So that's where we're at based on after everything that happened with my last channel, that you guys can see the story up in the freaking video from last week. So anyway, I have to do that for like every video. Again, if you're watching all of our stuff or multiple of our stuff, I apologize, but this is something to get out because I know that not everybody is going to be watching every one of our videos for every show, because that's just how it is. So anyway, as for My Dress Up Darling, I'm looking forward to this. This source material is popular. It's a good story across the board. I enjoyed reading it. It was a good read. It gets bogged down a little bit at one point, which wouldn't be until season 3, but they could probably iron that out in certain ways with the anime. But the characters are good. There's not a huge cast of characters. And for the English VA side, Marian is voiced by Amelie. Been fans of Amelie for a while, so that's pretty cool. I assume she reprised the role. If it's not her, we'll notice immediately. So
no, she did. She made a big announcement about it when like this season got announced that she was going to be continuing to voice Maureen.
Got it. So anyway, I apologize for the long-windedness, but have to get this out there. But looking forward to this, and yeah, it's good to have some rom-com back on the channel. It's, we have to deal with Shield Hero coming up on Sunday. We all know how that's probably gonna go.
Yeah, freaking. It's one of the few good things that's actually gone her way recently is the fact that she got rehired to do Maureen. Other than that, she's been dealing with the bullshit that is Bishoujo.
Yep. So, random sidebar, if any of you out there are fans of Amelie, she's a VA and a cover artist, and she has some original songs, but she has her VTuber personality, The Monarch, that joined Bishoujo, and then, well, a couple months later, as in like right now, July of 25, Bishoujo imploded in on itself because they defrauded a charitable organization. So, yeah, and then all their talent up and left. So, real bummer for them. But either way, as for this, again, we last left off with these two on the whole fireworks festival thing, and we're going to be picking up on the next set of cosplay. All I can say that's spoiler free, because that's what this is. It's all cosplay. If you don't know the show, I don't know why you're starting in season 2. Go watch season 1. Trust me, it's definitely worth it if you're a fan of rom-com. So, anyway, we're going to go ahead, push some buttons, and see what's up with the beginning of season 2 here. We'll get the timer-based stuff set up and whatnot. And for people on YouTube, we will see you immediately on the other side of this edit. So, here goes some. Well, alrighty then. We started off this season with a classic show that's inside of the show. And Dress Up Darling has had several. They had the Magical Girl one, just pretty much anything that Maureen has cosplayed. Her first cosplay was based on like an eroge game, but still, they have lore for all of these characters and do far more than I would think necessary for that. But that's kind of part of the show, so I guess it makes sense. So this author has kind of written like one major story and like 8 side stories for like the lore within the lore. So
yeah, generally for this kind of premise, you'd usually not really put as much emphasis onto the sub shows, but once again, a big part of like Maureen's personality is that she gets ridiculously into these things and like hyper focuses them.
Yeah. So it's unsurprising that we got like another because we had this with like Flower Princess Blaze was the Magical Girl show. They showed like several what would equate to like clips of several different episodes of that show from like major character moments and stuff like that, with like the character that Maureen cosplayed and the characters that the 2 sisters ended up cosplaying. But
they tend to go into like and do like full several minute like full on scenes from the shows.
Right. Hell, we even got that like part of that like horror movie that they watched that was like half Texas Chainsaw Massacre, half what was the other thing that it was like parodying?
The Ring.
Yeah, The Ring. Yeah, it was like the girl from The Ring with the chainsaw. but even that had a little bit of like a 30-second clip of like that movie. So yeah,
yeah. A lot of people, just random side note, but a lot of people like tend to confuse Sadako with, drawing a blank on her name, but the chick from The Grudge.
Oh yeah.
Because they're very similar looking, but it was definitely The Ring, because she specifically calls out the getting the like a creepy message on her phone.
Right.
That's a big thing on The Ring lore, is you watch the tape and then you get a call on the phone, and it's 7 days from the calls when you die.
Yeah, that was big when I was a kid. I remember that. It was like all my like friends and classmates were super into that. Now it's like, what the hell are you guys talking about? And then like when I found out, I was like, really? Like even back then, I was like, really, we're doing this? I don't even know what grade I was in at that point, but old enough to watch it, I believe. Maybe, probably not, but
yeah, no, the Ring is actually very old. It's like it was even older than that, because like it was originally Ringu in Japan, and then it was like that had been out for like 10 or 15 years before it eventually got localized as The Ring and released here in NA.
Right. So either way, this was a solid couple minutes of this first episode here with getting to know these characters for the cosplay and stuff like that. Maureen's obsession with bunny suits and stockings and fishnets and all that kind of thing. The show has done a good job with that kind of realism for designing these kinds of things. Now, I'm not a fashion designer, obviously, but from just being alive as long as I have been in my mid-30s, you just kind of pick up on these kinds of things, and you know, just not being forced to watch fashion shows. But one of my girlfriends in the past like watched those runway shows and stuff like that, and I watch it with her and stuff like that, and you pick stuff up, and I just remember stuff like that. That's just how it is. we kind of had this kind of thing with like stuff like Food Wars, as sensationalized and over the top and ridiculous as a show like Food Wars was. I know a lot about cooking. All of the stuff in Food Wars is realistic and stuff you can do. But I'm gonna have to take this call, so we'll see you in an edit in a second. Well, sometimes you just get a phone call in the middle of recording and you have to take it. not much I can do about that. Anyway, but yeah, for these kinds of things, I don't even remember where I was. I just kind of lost it. But where were we?
You were talking about Food Wars.
Oh yeah, the Food Wars, like how they like over sensationalize the food stuff, but everything in that show, there might have been a couple things that you could kind of like raise your eyebrow, like, can you do that? But I believe, and when Age and I watched this on our own time, we never really did it for the channel because that show finished a while ago. I think that show finished. It got its last season like right as we were starting the stuff, so we just kind of watched it on our own time. But it was one of those things where I can absolutely confirm that like 95% of the stuff that they did in that show was feasible, doable, and real. You know what I mean? And the same thing with these kinds of things with Gojo's outfits and the stuff that he has to do. While the Food Wars guy, the person who did that manga and stuff like that, probably a foodie, that kind of thing. Just like the guy who, wrote Initial D, definitely a car guy, obviously. And in the case of the author of this, I assume that they're big in fashion, because while I can't confirm like literally everything, even the stuff in the episode, like the boning for could make the Tucker joke again, but like the skeleton mesh and stuff like that you use for like corsets and stuff like that. Yes, those are ways to keep outfits like that from falling off, that kind of thing. So it's just
that's generally that's like the actual way that most buddy outfits like that are actually done, is like a corset.
Yeah, and I've seen plenty of like actual real life cosplay and the stuff they were talking about with those like they're like clear straps. Those are something that women use for that kind of situation as well. Guys could use it too for to keep shit from falling off, whatever. But yeah, it's everything that's been in the show that's been like fashion design wise, including Gojo's incredibly detailed drawings and like blueprints for what he's doing, are all viable and realistic. You know what I mean? They're not just like random nonsense on like his notebook that doesn't make any sense. And there have been shows that have like done like what you'd call like Star Trekian technobabble that doesn't even make any sense, and then it doesn't even match. You know what I mean? Like they're talking about this thing and it's like, well, your notes say something completely different that you're showing, so what are you on about? You think people aren't going to notice that detail? Especially with stuff like Crunchyroll and the newer players that they put in the subtitles for stuff like that. Hell, in season 1 they had bullet point subtitles for all of Gojo's notes, like when he would show off his like drawings and like his blueprints for what he was going to do, and everything was there. You know what I mean? Literally everything, the way it needed to be, that would make sense. It wasn't like, if say Maureen's like her like waistline or whatever it wasn't like some random outlandish number that didn't make sense, like her shoulder to shoulder, her neck measurement, like all of her measurements made sense. You know what I mean? They weren't just like random numbers that didn't make sense in the centimeter case, that kind of deal. So that's something that this show, you could probably reasonably look at it and go, well, you probably wouldn't want to take everything if you're gonna like try to be like what Gojo is doing as like a costume creator and stuff like that. It's all realistic enough that you could look at that and go, that's an idea that I could use for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which in general, that's one of the things they're talking about in this, is the fact that
the Crunchyroll player hates me at 12 minutes every time. Yeah.
There is a pretty big difference between actual costume design and stuff from shows and games and stuff like that. Like
Right.
Like the shopkeeper points out, like a lot of times they omit things just for the sake of making things look good.
Yeah.
Or be funny, or so on.
Right. Props to the like older shopkeeper for understanding anime.
I mean, anime is a huge part of Japanese culture. Like, basically everyone knows anime in Japan. Whether
Right.
they actively, like, full on nerd out over it or not is a totally different story, but basically everyone knows and has watched at least some anime.
Right. So yes, I will say that this shopkeeper is a recurring character. He's not major, but that was his introduction. Exactly the same. Gojo walks up to him, shows him the bunny suit. He freaks out thinking Gojo is going to be the one in the bunny suit and is not going to judge him because, you know, anybody can cosplay whatever they want. They can do whatever they want with their freaking life. Get over it. And then he has that, like, revelation, and then Marion walks up and he's like, oh, you're making it for her. Right.
Yeah.
So the comedic timing was still there. I will say that you can see here, in the, like, especially in this shot, like, they're keeping with the, like, more, like, uncanny valley backdrops that this show has used. And then you could see it, like, when they were in the casino studio that they rented, where they put Maureen into the backdrop. So they more, like, stylized her model to fit the background. And then it was, like, a seamless transition back to, like, when she walks up to Gojo and they're back to their normal models. So that's something that the show has done differently from anything that I've personally seen. Maybe other shows have done it. I don't know. It's just something that I've only seen this show do. So it's kind of like that interesting thing where they have these backdrops that look more uncanny valley, hyper realistic, that they're just, like, sitting next to or whatever. Like they had it in the first sequence where they were like upstairs in that hallway in the school, and that had more of that, like, more hyper realistic background kind of stuff with the stuff that they were sitting around. So I guess that's just like a style choice that wasn't really like that in the manga, but again, that's black and white. You're not really gonna tell, you know what I mean? It was all just one style. So maybe the author said, hey, I kind of wanted to do this for the manga, but it wasn't really possible because of, like, color depth and stuff like that. So maybe that's something the author asked for because it's recurring, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just pointing it out. I assume that's going to continue to be a thing because I thought it might have been, like, a couple one-off things in the episodes from season 1 that they had to do it for budget reasons or something, but this seems like a choice, kind of like how we thought the Nora voice actor in I Parry Everything was phoning everything in until we realized that no, that's exactly how they wanted him to be.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure this is a choice and this is how it's supposed to be. So if people are kind of like, especially if you look at this shot and you go, these characters look weird on this background, it's just kind of like a choice for whatever reason. And it's just kind of an interesting take on backgrounds, I guess. So that's just what they're going to do. Maybe they just want to more, like, hyper realize that kind of stuff for whatever reason. So that's just something to kind of look out for in the future. But again, even in, like, this shot here, you can see, like, all of Gojo's drawings are spot on, that kind of thing of how they're supposed to be. So I assume that any and all stuff that relates to costume design and makeup and stuff like that, because something else that Gojo does when we got to, like, the friend group stuff here at the end, you know, that's one of the overarching things without spoilers, because we've seen it in season 1, we saw it here again. Gojo's PTSD from his childhood friend, you know, saying, you know, dolls are for girls, for boys. That's weird, creepy. Gojo has that PTSD, and he's gonna keep having that. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a thing for the entire series, because
it was the whole thing of, like, that was basically his only friend, and then he's a shut-in otherwise and doesn't interact with any other people, so that was his only example as a child of normalcy.
Right. And that was the big deal with his, you know, connection with Marion, was her initial thing in the first episode was, you know, it's not cool to make fun of things that other people like. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. People can like whatever they want and do whatever they want. So it's kind of just, you just got to kind of live and let live. You know what I mean? It's, if you don't like something and somebody else likes it, there's really no point to ridicule them for liking the things and doing the things that they like to do. Obviously, within the reason of, you know, if somebody likes killing people, that's not cool, you know, crimes, that kind of stuff. But when we're just talking about generalized hobbies, then, you know, while I might not be, say, one of our buddies paints Warhammer miniatures, I'm never going to do that, but I'm not going to sit here and bust his balls for doing it because he enjoys doing it. You know what I mean? I don't care what he's doing with his time. I don't care that that person over there is, like, you know, playing frisbee golf on the weekends. What does that have to do with me? How does that affect my life? You know what I mean? It's like, how could you like something like that? I do. How does me liking this thing affect you? You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, generally speaking, the rule is anyone can like whatever they like as long as it doesn't impede on what other people like.
yeah.
Like, hey, if you like murdering people, you're impeding on you're preventing people from doing what they like because they're fucking dead.
Pretty much. So it's just one of those things where and I'm glad shows like this have delved more into people being reasonable and trying to establish that normalcy of, like, being decent human beings to other people. You know what I mean? A lot of, like, American live action shows and stuff like that that depict high schoolers, most of the time it's just bullying incident after bullying incident after bullying incident. You know what I mean? Not saying that the anime doesn't have that. You have shows like Totally, like, have stuff like that, but shows that are like this, that they do show bullying, but they also actively promote, like, pushing back against it and, like, it not being cool. You know what I mean? Because just don't be a dick. It's that simple, and that kind of narrative needs to be pushed more. Is just, like, accepting people for who they are. Just don't be an a-hole, and your life and everyone else's life around you will be much better for it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, Maureen had that same thing in that first episode where that guy that hits on her and she just kind of, like, goes off on him for being a guy in general, and just, you know, it's like, oh, I can't believe a girl like you is into anime. It's like, why? Because she's objectively attractive, she can't like anime? I don't understand. You know what I mean? That's those kinds of takes are, like, always have always gotten me. Like, you know, we talked about this kind of thing with, like, Gachi Akuda yesterday, with stuff like, you know, just anything like that. How can you like this? Because, you know, you're outwardly like you're a cowboy or something. How could you possibly like, you know, going to a club and raving? Or you're outwardly goth. How could you possibly like, you know, going to the beach and being in the sun? You know what I mean? It's just like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Everybody is a unique and complex individual. Just because their outward appearance says, you know, in Maureen's case, you know, Gyaru, that doesn't mean she's going to be a bitch to everybody. You know what I mean? Or whatever the stereotype is. Yes, stereotypes exist for a reason. We have that freaking quote from Archer in the back pocket. But just because you potentially conform to a stereotype does not mean that's your entire essence of your being. You know what I mean? That's not going to be 100% of who you are. So.
Random side note, but Maureen's generally more of a Genki girl than a Gyaru. Though this episode, she actually did pull some Gyaru, and that she did, like, the... I don't remember the exact sub type of, like, Gyaru it is, but it's the same one that Momo is in Dan, where it's
right.
That, you know, like, big socks, short skirt, big shirt.
Right, yeah. But either way, it's always nice to see, like, newer shows, like, pushing that narrative of, you know, accept people for who they are, just don't be a dick in general, and life in general will be better if there's less assholishness out there. That kind of thing. Less drama, less ridiculous nonsense, the better the world is going to be. either way, covered everything they needed to for like this bit of the bunny girl stuff. And they covered the bit of like the Halloween stuff and meeting the establishing Maureen's friend group, which we didn't get in season 1, and Age mentioned during the reaction there.
Yeah, they show them a few times, but we never actually like really get any sort of screen time with them. Like Noah's like the only one who gets any sort of like even speaking lines in the first season, and it's basically just her showing up for like 5 seconds to pull Maureen off screen.
Right. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. They had that like initial introduction with the other girls, and we see them again. We saw Noah a couple more times, and that was it. But the first season was mostly just establishing Gojo and Maureen's like working relationship, and with the fact that in this case, Maureen is the one falling in love with Gojo, and that's going to be a thing for the rest of the series, is figuring that out. So it's not always the from the guy side. You know, we had stuff like say like Tomo-chan, that was from the girl side. In say like Kaguya-sama, it was from both sides, so that was fairly unique. But in this case, it's, well, generally speaking, it is more traditionally from the girl side. Maureen's case is unique because of Gojo's unique PTSD, which is going to be another overarching thing for the show. So hopefully they keep that in there, because it's a big sticking point for this series, is Gojo having to deal with that and just not being the shut-in that he is, not understanding that other people, like even the guys here, were just like, well, yeah, there's, my brother's a makeup artist, so yeah, guys can do makeup. What's the big deal? You know what I mean? Guys can be hairdressers, women can be whatever, you know what I mean? Any job can be performed by a man or a woman. It really doesn't matter. So, yeah, that's going to be one of the overarching things for Gojo's character that hopefully they don't cut out, because that's a major part of the manga. So either way, friend group is introduced, and we got left on the hilarity that is Noah calling them out here right after her epic karaoke set, and asking them if they're dating. So I got to give him props for leaving the episode on that, because I believe, and I'd have to fact check this because it's been a couple months since I've read the whole thing, but that happens like near the end of a chapter, but you get to see like the immediate aftermath before the chapter ends, instead of just leaving it right on the end of the damn episode. And that's where we leave it. So, well, we all know how a guy like Gojo is going to react. Those reactions are going to be just period. And once again, he's a 15-year-old guy. He's really holding it in. Except when he doesn't. A lot happened after that photo. Don't forget about that one. So, either way, looking forward to seeing how far we get into this. I did mention during the intro in the live reaction that they did show off the nun cosplay. And that is pretty late in the series. I'd have to recheck where that was. But it is, if we're getting the nun cosplay this season, that's pretty far into it. But that would kind of track with it getting to around chapter 80. So I'll have to re-fact check that and go back and look at the source material and confirm stuff as we move forward in the season. But that's all I got for this one. I think I'm going to enjoy this. So, got anything else for this one, Age?
Not really.
Alrighty then. Well, then, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond whoever you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was my Dress Up Darling, Season 2, Episode 1. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.